Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. It's Tuesday, so it's time for us to dig our heels in, get some work done, and really just get excited about this week. A lot of good things are going to happen this week. If you didn't have an opportunity to listen to yesterday's podcast, it was episode number 250. It was really special. We got a lot of interesting feedback via email about that podcast episode. It is absolutely fun, and it was a great topic. So if you haven't had a chance, it might be one of my favorite podcast episodes I've ever done. So please go listen to that one. On a side note, I had some questions from one of the groups that I was coaching around the product owner role. And I think those questions were warranted because the way they were, well, I'm just going to cut to the chase. The questions about the product owner role were certainly warranted because it felt like the organization was getting confused between product owner, product manager, product liaison, business analyst. And I think you already see where I'm going with this. A lot of times we let the title get in the way of the responsibilities that the person is supposed to fulfill. So today, I wanted to just go through briefly and read off to you some of the responsibilities that I have listed for a product owner. And now I'm not promising this is end all be all, nor am I trying to be completely dogmatic or say, but the book says, because you always hear me say, according to the book of who, here's what you should never do, right? I don't want you to necessarily follow a book for guidelines, but I do want to give you this well-rounded answer to what the responsibilities of a product owner are, because I think if you have a coverage around those responsibilities and you've got key people involved, then I think you're going to be okay. And I think the key difference here is to understand the responsibilities, the skills, the qualities, the attributes. They're all different, right? So let's rattle through real quick. So from my certified Scrum product owner class, the product owner is the person solely responsible for implicitly understanding the wants, needs, whims, and desires of the end consumer. They do this by facilitating conversations with support about the things the consumer may be struggling the most with and with trainers about new thoughts or ideas the consumer may be thinking. They also host focus groups where they record data to discover about the current product they're working on, as well as enhancements for upcoming products. This individual is also responsible for understanding all the business acumen behind why a product was built, whom it was built for, how and where the product is used, and when it entered the marketplace. They need to understand the return on investment for the product as well as strategic value the product holds for the organization. This lucky individual also has to have a pure understanding of how their product works and with what other products it integrates. They also need to understand what many other products do and how they relate to your existing product. They also need to fully understand the software development lifecycle in order to best determine the life expectancy of a core product. Is it brand new? Is it emerging? Is it sunrising or sunsetting? How many versions of hardware or software we're planning to support, forward or backward, etc.? This person needs to fully understand technological feasibility of their product, and they need to be able to quickly assess requests and determine if there are actual requests for enhancements or defects that require more immediate attention. With all this information, it's expected they'll maintain full upward visibility and be a pure representation of the end consumer to the sponsor and a representation of the sponsor to the teams that are working on the project. They're expected to report with 100% accuracy at risk of losing their job if at any point they're incorrect, and they're solely responsible for creation and maintenance of a stack-rank product backlog, a release plan, and a one-year roadmap. Now, if you're not building technical products, you could also say that this person's responsible for understanding not just, how many versions, hardware, software, forward or backward, but this person's also responsible for understanding how we're using our current increment of the product and what the next increment of the product will be. So they have to kind of plan ahead, I guess is what it's called. Yeah, so in Agile, you do plan ahead a little. We talked about that yesterday. The product owner should have certain skills. They should be able to identify key markets and customers, create user stories, define the product, be prepared with details, establish a product vision and roadmap, set clear acceptance criteria, define, manage, and maintain the product backlog, convince customers to buy and investors to invest, drive and quantify business value, and be an ultimate communicator. This person should also have certain qualities. They should have emotional intelligence, collaborative skills, the ability to say no, empathize with customers, work to remove impediments. It's not just the Scrum Master's job. They should help as well. They need to be able to deal with conflict management, communicate difficult decisions, motivate teams, understand the product lifecycle, and really understand the 80-20 rule. That only 20% of what they build is going to be used 80% of the time. This person also needs to have presence as an attribute. They need to be there for the team when they need them, how they need them, where they need them. They need to deeply understand the voice of the consumer and study the consumer to make sure they have target personas identified. That's incredibly important. This person also needs to be respectful to the team in the process. They need to have a just ask me attitude, and they need to treat everything like it's not just another product or project on their plate. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a pretty long-winded list, right? And what I can tell you is, I skipped the part about walk on water, right? This set of responsibilities in most organizations is not characterized or covered by one person. Whether you're agile or whether you're true waterfall, one person cannot do all of those things. That's just a fact of life. So what do we need to do instead? We need to do our best to determine if one person can't do it, who is doing it, what roles or responsibilities do they have, and make sure that we have coverage across what we're trying to do, because that's important. It's important for us to have coverage. It's important for us to have a good understanding. And most importantly, it's important for us to not live and die by the title, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because in addition to all those things that I put into that description, this person needs to have empathy. They need to be understanding. There's so many things that this person needs. And I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is I've seen so many people struggle with product ownership. Don't be in a camp where you're struggling so much with product ownership that you misidentify or misunderstand the product owner. The product owner is there to help you be successful. They're there to fulfill responsibilities. They're there to help call out requirements. But most importantly, they're there to serve the team and to be there for the people who are building a product or service, to make sure that we have coordination and good communication across everything we're trying to do. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that this brings out some value to the product owner. As always, we encourage you to visit agiledad.com, where you can learn so much more about this topic and many others. We encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile. Until next time, do take care, my friends. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.